Hello, this is Margaret Ajibode, the STEM Positive Disruptor. And on today's Mia's Conversation, I have a special guest, Elena Lee. She's the environmental advisor within the construction industry. The reason why we set up this platform is we want to educate, want to raise awareness, want to change people's perception and demystify what STEM is. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. It's about bringing the public into our domain. It's about us showcasing the diverse roles and the diverse people that work within our industry. But it's about starting a conversation within between the government, the education system, the industry, as well as media, for us to be able to see how can we manage and deal with the skill shortage. How can we infuse more young people to engage with STEM subjects, but also leading on to the STEM profession. So without further ado, I want to welcome Elena Lee.
Hello, Margaret. Hello.
Hello. Well, thank you again for coming on board to speak to us on Mia's Conversation. So please tell us more about yourself, Elena.
So as you said, I work as environment sustainability advisor for the construction company currently. And previously, so yes, I was working in this industry for about 14 years in various roles. So yes, I work for some of the largest waste management company, then research institutes. So now I work for the construction in a construction industry. So yes, I hold a master's degree in environmental technology. So I completed Hull University. So that was an interesting study, and I've done that back in 2008. So yes. So yeah, and then I decided, okay, so I need to pursue career in this environmental field, because that time, so it started to develop very quickly. Okay. So I remember my thesis was looking at recycling activity in Kingston upon Hull. Okay. So that was my thesis, my study, my final project. That was very interesting. So the conclusion of my dissertation was, that the waste is going to be more sustainable practice to send recyclables for reprocessing somewhere locally, or sending waste which couldn't be reused or recycled into waste to energy plant. So that was my conclusion. And I think, so I'm not sure whether there is, there should be some local waste to energy plant now in Yorkshire. So yes, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, sorry, did you have most? Okay, thank you very much for that. So thank you, and I do appreciate your journey as well, because in a way, what you're saying is that you started off you studied with an environmental theme to your degree, and also you worked within the industry for a while as well. So based on what you have done, because you worked in different roles, now as an environmental advisor, what does that entail? What's the makeup of being an environmental advisor within the construction industry?
So yes, I've got quite a list of duties and responsibilities. For example, reporting on environmental performance to the management.
Okay.
Conducting external and internal audits. Okay. Also in site inspections, reporting on findings to the management and to the site guys as well. So how we can improve, how we can actually, improve our performance, environmental sustainability performance on sites. So also conducting some of the environmental sustainability trainings, so presenting, for example, for the starters or for apprentices. So then, yeah, it's quite.
No, but you know what it is again.
Yes. So it's actually the list of responsibilities is kind of like, yes, there are different responsibilities and they're ranging across, for example, carrying out inspections and audits, and then delivering presentations on environmental, for example, on environmental awareness to the students, to the staff members, to the contractors. So yes, then monitoring and presenting the findings to the management on the environmental performance. And also we are now involved in social value.
Okay.
So we look at social value. So what is actually how we involve in, so how we look after our local communities.
Okay.
So what value we delivering to our local communities. So that's quite important.
It is indeed.
Point in our current roles, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the fact that it's so broad what you actually do within as an environmental advisor. It's you know it's a lot of communication both with the management side of things as well as the people that work on the site. So, say for example, I'm one of the workers on site. What are you looking for when you go on site? Tell just very briefly. What are the things that you look out for, and why is the reason why sustainability is important within the construction industry? Because you talked about important for them to be sustainable. Why is that important? And it's from an environmental perspective.
So sustainability and environmental performance, yeah. So these are quite important for all companies. So because yes, if we are sustainable, if we're delivering our operations in good environmental order, if we are compliant, so we're saving money. So that's the first thing, because yeah,
it was good.
companies, yes, as a company, we need to be profitable. So, and the more sustainable we are, more environmentally friendly we are. So it means that we could be more profitable.
Yeah,
so we could save money.
Yeah.
So basically, we finding various solutions on some problems, how we can solve it in this manner, in sustainable environmental manner.
Okay.
Because first of all, so that's going to be reflected in our profits, yes. And also, yes, and also basically delivering that value to the society, so that everything is going to be cascaded down to how and in which way we deliver our operations. So that's going to be reflected on the society as well. So that's quite important.
You're so right. It's not just about the company itself or the way the company works. It's also about making sure that being sustainable within your within the company also reflects well within the community as well. It's not just about, as you're saying, it's even though it's the profit margin is important for the company. On the flip side, it's also making sure the community benefits, or at least they're not the company is not doing anything that would cause any hazard or problems within the community itself. So it's that balance itself. So it's and so that thank you so much for that. So because you talked about your dissertation in your degree, environmental degree, which you did a while back. So and based on what you do now, what are the things that you see that you feel that could be done better where the environmental situation is concerned in the construction industry, or just in what I say? I think it's important to be more focused as to what you do, and just give examples of things that you feel are question mark that could still be done better from your perspective. I'm not talking about how the world is saying it, but what do you feel based on your experience? And yeah.
So I think like all of the practices that could go through continuous improvement. So if you look at all of these practices from different points, so from social point of view, from environmental, from sustainability point of view, you could continue improving your practices, how you conduct this continuously. So that's ongoing. So yes, so basically you need to carry out this ongoing review of how you actually performing. So I can't say what specifically needs to be done, what specifically needs to be improved.
Okay.
Because as you know, so for example, if we kind of like, yes, promote some of the practices within our industry. So after maybe 3-4 months, we carry out the review of that. So that's everything improved. So we can see that staff is engaged. So we're getting good results. So then maybe after 1 year, we're gonna get completely different results for that improvement, for that practice. We need to think of other solutions. We need to combine. So yes, we need to look at maybe a different operations, different practices, so how we can improve again. So that's ongoing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's important. I think in any company or any individual, you need to always be looking at ways to improve and be active in that, because if not, you become stagnant. You become not somewhat dormant, but yeah. But it's important to review where you are and what you need to do. So the practices, so and how to improve that and review that. For the company's sake. Also, because I think when you review and you improve, it also increases the profit margin, but also it's also being aware of the other factors that enables you to be where you are and what you're doing as well. You talked about the community, social value, and that sort of thing. So can you just give one example of what you mean by to improve on the practices? What sort of practice do you mean by that? Just very simple example, just one example.
So it could be a practice of chemical storing of chemicals.
Okay.
Keeping, for example, hazardous chemicals, how we keep these hazardous chemicals, whether we're reporting on new chemicals received, so how these chemicals are being monitored. It's just one example. So yeah.
That's so important. Indeed, because health and safety, how you preserve, how you work on site. And if you have chemical products that are dangerous and you don't put them in a safe place, and things happen. It's not intentional, but it does. Accidents do happen, and that could impact you as a business, but also impact the community as well. Because if you have a spill and it's dangerous, it's toxic, that could affect people's health. So you're right. It's about the importance of reviewing the practice. What do you do and how do you do it? Is this the best way? Can we improve the way we do it? Can we change our storage practice? Those sort of things are they're supposed to be things you do automatically, but I think sometimes we don't do. We think, oh, it works, so let's carry on with it. but you're saying it's important for us to improve how we do things on a continual basis. If it like set your targets of months and review yearly as well, so that you know that you're on top of things to prevent any form of accidents that could possibly occur. And also it's good for you as a business. It helps with your reputation as a business, that does good, but also for the community side of things as well, that no one's affected in an indirect sort of way, even if though it may not show up straight away. Long term, what are we saying? This accident could impact the community in a longer term way, health wise, or in other way as well. So yeah, thank you so much for that. So I know you enjoy what you do, and that can be heard. If you were to tell somebody, a young person who's thinking about going into engineering as an environmentalist, or you as an environmental advisor, what would you advise them to do?
So a student or
a person, because remember the public is our audience. So it could be someone who doesn't even know what they want to do, but if they can hear what you do and what the difference you're making in your environment, maybe that would pique up their interest to say, okay, fine. I never thought that and someone who is passionate about environment can work in engineering or the STEM environment. So what would you, because of course you made an intentional decision to go on this path of studying within about environment issues and things that could be done and improving, and what practices that can be put in place to help improve the bigger scheme of things concerning sustainability and all other areas as well. So say I'm a young person, I don't really know what I want to do. Maybe my parents, I said, oh, go to school, go and do something. But Mom, I don't know what to do. So how would you advise me? What would you say to me to do? Oh, how can I explore the opportunities?
So yes, I would suggest to understand what exactly you want to do in your life, to for a young person, yes, to possibly and to understand what you want to do is probably the best way to shadow some of the environmental professional. So if they're really a young person, so if they're really thinking about pursuing career in this field, because as I said, it's quite a broad range of different skills required and knowledge. So for example, so you have to conduct site inspections, then you have to write a report on findings, then you have to report this to the management, and you have to deliver presentations, training. So it's kind of like, yes, probably I would suggest first to shadow this profession, one of the professionals, yes. And then if you're really excited about this and if you really like think that this is yours, so then to start some course. I'm not talking about the university course, but I think engineering skills, problem solving skills all the time going to be valuable, especially for these roles.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
You're right, and I think it's for you to work in any environment anyway, you've got to understand what takes place. So if you're saying engineering, you don't have to be very technical, but you have to have an understanding of the technical aspect of where you're going to go into. But also as an environmental advisor, what you're also saying is that you have to have very good communication skills. You have to be verbal, you can speak because you do training. You're talking to the management, you're presenting to the site. You have to be able to write as well, because again, you have to convey your report. So you go onto the site, you do your inspection, and you identify key elements, what needs to be done, where are the gaps, how do we bridge the gaps, how can we provide, and then you put together a material for a training program to help the workers on site so that they can better understand what is needed, etc., etc. But also,
right.
you also talk about problem solving. I think within engineering anyway, it's important. I think we as human beings, we are problem solvers because we all have problems in a personal way, and we find ways to resolve those problems. So it's not that it's a forced state; it's a natural way of how we live as human beings, because we are always problem solving every day. When we wake up, oh, I've got to think, I've got to go on, what do I need to do now? How do I go about it? So for example, if you want to go, you have to get ready, you have to prepare, plan, what do I need to do? You prepare whatever it is you need to do. So you think about it and you find solutions to those problems. So again, problem solving is a natural thing. It's just that it's key to wherever you go, that you have to have the understanding that it's part of the elements that you need. So, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate. I'm celebrating you as well, and I'm grateful that you've come on board as well, because again, what you're doing is showing the public what type of roles are within the industry, but also that you himself, for you to have done it for such a long time, you're saying, I enjoy what I do. I may not show it, but I do enjoy what I do. And there's so many different elements. And I thank you also that if as a young person's coming in, part of the way to find out whether or not it's a way for you or not is to shadow somebody else that's already working within the industry. So it gives you a better understanding of what the role entails. So thank you. I appreciate that that feedback on that as well. So yeah, I mean, is there another thing? Where the environment is concerned? Because recycling is what people are saying we should do more of that. But do you feel that's the only way to be aware about the environment, how we can preserve our environment? Because we are responsible, human beings are responsible for the things that are happening, and we have to find ways to prevent the deterioration of what's going on. So do you think only recycling is the best, because or is there other ways and what we should be aware of? Just very, very briefly.
Yes, of course. So the first is just using less, reusing something what we could reuse. So just using this again. So recycling is probably going to be the third in that pyramid of so what else could be done? Just looking after the resources and being basically attentive to how you consume, and so
Well, no,
using reusing, monitoring how we're using it.
but this is, I know, again, Elena, you're speaking the truth, because what we don't do very well is not being attentive to how we use things, what we do. And it's important to remind the audience, to remind people that, hold on, you have to know what you're doing. Can we reuse what we have? Can we prevent the waste fill? Can we do things slightly differently? And I think it's about getting people to think out of the box. But that's why we do what we do. And this is what you do. You're raising awareness of this. We're trying to educate our audience that we are responsible for the environment, how the environment goes, whether good or bad. We've left it so long, and now we're trying to remind you of what you need to do. So please don't think that it's not relevant. It's very, very important. Very, very important. We need to be attentive to how we use, what we use, how we consume. And we have to make that difference, because if we don't take responsibility, no one else is. Or we should not complain if we ourselves don't do something about it. That's basically what you're saying, isn't it? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
translate.
No, but I am grateful. I'm grateful that you've come on board. I'm grateful for this conversation, and I'm celebrating you. I'm celebrating what you're doing. I'm celebrating what you do and who you are. And I thank you again for you taking time out from your busy schedule to just have a conversation on Mia's platform, on this STEM Positive Disruptors platform, to make the change and to encourage more young people to look at the opportunities that are available, the different roles. And this is what you've done today. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you.